Good morning and welcome into another edition of Mic'd Up here on Pittsburgh Sports Live and Pittsburgh Sports Now and really all across the Now family of networks. So again, good morning. The weekend is almost here and of course Mic'd Up I'm Mike Osti and he's Mike Vakovican is presented by Martin Lawn Services, 412-849-5894. Hit up Doug Martin for your lawn care needs. And before we get into the topics of the show, we have some news even from our sponsor of the program, Doug Martin.
Yeah, I was just going through Facebook a little bit ago, Mike, and I saw that Doug picked up a new client that a lot of people in our viewing audience are with. Jeff Rosella, a friend of mine, current meteorologist at WTAE. I see that Doug and his crew have just on Facebook. I saw they posted some pictures. They broke ground. They're going to be putting up a new patio, seat wall, and gas fire pit at Jeff and Shelley's house. So
awesome.
It's good to see. Jeff's a big fan of ours. I haven't told you that. He's a big fan. He watches us, so he probably got the
okay.
Go with Martin's after watching Mic'd Up. Good job, Jeffy V.
Absolutely, yeah, Jeff, you're definitely picking the right guy there. I'd imagine that he's watching the show and learning from that, so that's definitely good. We definitely appreciate it from Jeff, because if it's good for Doug, it's good for us. So again, Mic'd Up presented by Martin Lawn Services, 412-849-5894. Be like Jeff Rosella and hit up Doug Martin there at 412-849-5894. For this show, we're going to talk some speculation and some dreaming and maybe some ridiculousness among the Pitt fan base based on a move by another college basketball program firing a coach, and maybe what some want to happen at now their program of the University of Pittsburgh. Of course, Sean Miller being fired by Arizona. He's out in Arizona, and some people already want him at Pitt. Hometown guy, of course, so that connection will always be there. We're also going to touch on it's getting real bad for the Pittsburgh Pirates, really, really bad. Not only are they losing, but now back-to-back blowout losses. You can also watch our coverage with our instant reactions, of course. Imagine what those are after these games over there on Pittsburgh Sports Live for the Pirates edition of Pittsburgh Postgame. And our evaluation of Derek Shelton and how you possibly can evaluate him and whether or not he's going to be able to hang around there long-term because they're not giving him anything, or if he's going to kind of get screwed with a short leash, even though, again, he's not being given anything. And also maybe what the Steelers are going to do or what should do in that first round in terms of the running back position. Obviously a neat position, still dangling out there in terms of the depth chart. Connor's still unanswered. A lot of question marks, and if that will trickle down into the first round of the NFL draft. To get things started, though, Mike, Pittsburgh Sports Now, the message boards are churning, and of course, this is expected. Sean Miller out at Arizona, of course, the hometown kid. Arizona had success for a while. That certainly puttered off. He's been in rumors, or at least wanted by Pitt fans every time he's on the market or even not on the market. Jeff Capel's been there a few years, once again, puttering down the season. They don't get in the tournament. They lose a bunch at the end. Players transfer like happening at every college program in the country right now this year. And obviously some Pitt fans losing favor with him from where they were a year ago and the fanfare kind of wearing off. But he's doing his work recruiting, and it's a big offseason for him. But Pitt fans don't want to wait around. There are Pitt fans out there, apparently, that want Sean Miller to come home and take over for Jeff Capel and oust Jeff Capel for Sean Miller. I had a kid I went to high school for me literally say he couldn't do much worse. So that's his opinion. What's your opinion? And then what are you hearing and seeing from Pitt fans right now? I kind of got it from your expression there.
Today I had to ask the one guy, what are you drinking already in the afternoon?
Yeah. Top of the morning to you.
It's ridiculous, the fact that we would even have to bring something like that up for a number. It reminds me of every time that the Pitt football job was open, people would bring up the name Tom Bradley. Bring Tom Bradley in. You know, every no matter what, bring him in.
Yep. After all the Penn State controversy, they wanted him brought in. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Sean Miller, first of all, thumbed his nose up. Both him and his brother, they were too good to consider the Pitt job when it was open the last time.
Mm-hmm.
even before then. They've approached him multiple times about it.
Yep.
And he basically, in so many gestures, gave the Pitt administration the middle finger. Why they would even, it's a stupid topic to begin.
Why do Pitt fans forget that? A lot of Pittsburgh fans in general hold grudges forever.
And the other thing is, the guy's a cheat. He's not leaving Arizona off his own because he wants to get out of Tucson. Mm-hmm. He was thrown out because he's a cheater. If you wonder why he was winning, mm-hmm. he's part of the group that's about to go under. The LSUs of the world, the Kansases, all the people that are under investigation from the FBI. You want to even bring up the topic of bringing somebody like that into here? It's lunacy, to be honest with you. I didn't think, actually, when I saw the news hit, I said to myself, there's no way Pitt fans are going to even throw.
That's what I thought. I couldn't believe it either when we were talking about it off the air. I was like, are you really hearing this? And then I looked through my Twitter. I heard some friends. I'm hearing it too. And of course, you're hearing it even more so on the message boards, just that you're tracking it.
Even if he didn't have he's probably going to have a hard time getting a job again.
He hasn't won that much recently. This is years ago when he had his success too.
Right. Yeah. He's probably going to have to go the NBA route, like when Calvin Sampson left.
Like an assistant. Yeah.
Yeah. For a couple years, see if it blows over, do the Rick Pitino, come back with a smaller school, probably a little bit bigger than Iona. But Sean Miller is not getting a major job anytime soon with all the crap that's flying around.
It's also different Rick Pitino than Sean Miller. Rick Pitino's 3 teams to the Final Four, 3 different programs, 2 national titles, Hall of Fame.
He has a 700.
Oh, yeah.
700 winning career. So he has the credentials. There's no problem. But the baggage that's following him now, it's too great for anyone to even consider. And I wouldn't hire Sean Miller just out of the fact that what I said before. They approached him before Jeff Capel, or at least they looked into him. He wanted nothing to do with it. They've approached him multiple times, and he's a guy from here. Him and his family, some reason, have a red ass toward Pitt. And
he played at Pitt. He was an assistant coach at Pitt before he got his career started. The only pushback I can give, Mike, and I agree, this is just totally ludicrous and ridiculous. But if you're going to not want to hire him because of the investigation and the trouble that he could bring, I totally get it. Despite, of course, he's won 3 Pac-12 titles. He's been at Arizona since 2009, had success, 19-11 in the NCAA tournament, which is a real solid percentage. That's doubling up your losses in the NCAA tournament. That's very, very rare. Also 422 career wins, and he is only 52 years old. So we're talking about a lot of guys with a lot more wins that are Hall of Famers that are usually 20 years older than him. So if he would keep getting opportunities, who knows where he could build up his career, and eventually a couple more Final Fours could get into that Hall of Fame someday. Clearly his career's kind of been tainted by all of this. Former point guard at Pitt again as a player. But if that's your reasoning, despite the resume, I totally get it. But the only pushback I could give about him turning them down before, is it fair to say, especially after Kevin Stallings and even a little bit before because of the controversy after Jamie Dixon and what he left, that maybe the job wasn't as attractive? And before we found out about Sean Miller's problems, his resume a few years ago was even better than where it is now, because 3-4 years ago, he was fresh off resurrecting Arizona, deep tournament runs. Maybe at that point he felt like he might have been better than where the Pitt program was, and he didn't want to have to go through 3 years of rebuilding because of where he was, even though he's from here. Is it fair to say he should have taken the job just because he's from here?
Well, I don't know. I just know I've heard stories of him. I just think
I get it.
I just think him and his family are very arrogant. And I just wouldn't want any part. He probably wouldn't want to. This is me being a fan here, not a journalist saying this.
Right.
He doesn't probably, he wouldn't want to come here because he wouldn't be able to get away with, the shenanigans he probably got away with at Xavier in Arizona, as far as, whatever he had to do to draw in all those 4-star. It's amazing how many you can get out there, but you have to get them on your own without. So that's
the Xavier program's not been the same. He kind of screwed that a little
bit. That's what I'm saying. It's no coincidence. And what did I tell you with the guy that left West Virginia? Ty.
Oh yeah.
Where did I say he was going to go? SEC program.
Yeah.
Where did he end up? Georgia.
Right.
It's real simple. You just look at the transfers and where all these guys end up. They're all in the. We know what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's under the table going on. It's going all over. And Sean Miller was part of that. He got caught, and now he lost his job because of it.
He did, and it's not going to happen either. We'll let this get out there too. Pitt's not firing Jeff Capel this offseason. It's not going to happen, regardless of Sean Miller. It's just not going to happen. The other thing also is, and you were correct about, and there's a lot of conspiracy, and it's just a mess more this year than really ever before. But there are certain coaches that kind of get away with murder in terms of always getting retreaded. John Calipari, tons of taint on his resume. Same thing with Rick Pitino, a few others, but they're in that group of Hall of Fame. And even though Sean Miller's resume is pretty damn good, he's just not in that class. So he's going to have to go through the NBA wire. He's going to have a tough go. And if he went to Pitt or somewhere else, it'd be for 2 or 3 years, and then he would leave that program in the dust of scandal as well, probably. So it wouldn't be long-term. If Capel wants to be there long-term, give him a couple more years of a shot. It's just not going to happen. Moving on, though, from the made-up story from Pitt fans about the possibility of Sean Miller, which is just literally not going to occur, we now will bring up some reality, and this is reality, a reality pill. This is some medicine, slice of humble pie for the Pittsburgh Pirates and any fan that thought this team was going to somehow surprise. Not happening. Yeah, they may not lose 100 games, but maybe they will based on what we're seeing now. Several losses in a row again since opening day. A lot of beatdown losses. Really, really bad. Even when Ke'Bryan Hayes returns, you can't imagine that's enough. There's not enough pitching there, which we all expected. And now the hitting, while some hitters are doing okay, Evans, Colin Moran, even Brian Reynolds, again, it's just not enough. They're getting embarrassed out there. And at best, they're going to lose less than 100 games, but they're certainly going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. But in terms of Derek Shelton, and this doesn't get discussed that much, we haven't even discussed it that much. He's very calm. He's not that boisterous. He's not going to yell. He's not a Clint Hurdle dropping quotes and getting feisty with the media. He's just kind of a even keel, boring guy, to be quite frank. And he's there, and he doesn't have much to work with, and everybody knew it's a rebuilding period. Ben Cherington has said as much, so he's not expecting to win right now. What's the expectation for Derek Shelton in terms of long-term, and how long will they let him linger around? Is he going to get screwed here because it's a couple years with a bad team, or will he get to stay the course if that ever ends, that course ever completes?
No, I don't think he's there. He was probably, he took this job
To get a job.
This had to have been discussed with Sherrington and Nutting as far as what the long term, because I don't see anyone that would take a job knowing that they were going to put so little into it and they were going to go this route as far as rebuilding it.
I guess.
My only problem with this is, and I discussed this a little bit with Alan this afternoon.
Yeah.
It just becomes hard because when you try to examine a baseball season, you have to try to at least critique a manager. But in this guy's first 2 years, we're not going to be able to look at anything that at least I don't think.
He got criticized a little bit last year. I kind of think unfairly, but he did.
Yeah. I just don't think realistically for the people that really want to, find fault with somebody, you could have Joe Torre, Casey Stengel, whoever the hell is in here.
Yeah. Tony La Russa, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so many things you can look at with Derek Shelton and what he's going to do. You could change a lineup, but there's only 25 guys on the roster. And when he's fielding this, when he's asked to put these players out there and try to turn this into something, there's not much he can do. And that's why this guy is going to be almost like on a free pass here for –
You think?
Things might tune up a little bit next year because some of the prospects might be here. Maybe they'll invest a little bit more. Some of these guys hopefully get a little bit better. But this year it's gonna be another honeymoon for the guy as far and he deserves it because there's nobody could do anything other than what he's doing right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But it would be nice to at least have a manager, or we do it all the time with Tomlin and Sullivan and Narduzzi and Capel. This guy should have done it. What are you going to say to Derek Shelton? He's fielding a team full of crap.
He is, to put it bluntly. I mean, the only thing I guess you could say is if there's some minor tweaking or some moves, or maybe leaving a pitcher in too long, or else a quick hook here or there because you like to see more from guys. That was kind of the critique last year. I personally, my only critique I could basically say, I guess, during this rebuilding phase, especially since he's aware of it, I would like him, and this is maybe mean to say, I'd almost like him to let some of these pitchers linger and not to leave them out to dry to embarrass them, but Tyler Anderson, one run off 3 through 4, let him keep going. Like, let him go a little bit longer. I know they're losing stuff a little bit. They haven't experienced it before. Eventually, it's going to happen in their career at some point. It's just like when you learn how to swim at some point, you're going to throw your kid in the deep end and say, well, you're either going to make it out of there or I'm going to jump in after you and save you. That's how I actually learned how to swim. My best friend growing up's brother threw us in the deep end because I didn't want to get in there, and eventually just figured it out because I didn't want to drown. You just got to let them stay in the game a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill them. Yeah, their ERA might suck, but the ERA is not that much better now. No one's making an all-star team here. So what's the difference? Let them go another inning or two. That's the only thing I'd like to see. Their arms aren't going to fall off. But I don't think you can fairly criticize him overall.
No.
And if he is fired, I'll be the first to say that's not fair because there's no chance of winning with this team. The only thing I could possibly think of if he wasn't in some type of shaking hand agreement that he's going to get at least 3 or 4 years because they weren't having a chance to win in those first few is if, because he hadn't been a manager, he's a young guy, the resume's not there, nobody else, like you're mentioning, would take the job knowing these circumstances. So, like Tony La Russa came back to the White Sox when they're building up and have a star. He's not going to deal with the Pirates here. So maybe it's better to be a manager and lose with a team that nobody thinks you're going to win than to not be a manager at all. At least it's like getting an interview for a job in sports. Sometimes rivals will interview a former rival coach just to do him a favor, even though they're not going to hire him. Sometimes it's better to get an interview and have your name out there and do it for 2 years than to not. So maybe that would be better, even if he is fired and not the guy, whenever the hell they turn it around. But obviously, it's rough to criticize him game in and game out with this crew.
Yeah, the only thing that we could eventually start looking at is if some other younger players possibly come out throughout the year, somebody that might be an option out in the outfield,
right,
and whether or not he sticks with some of the guys out in center field or right field.
Yeah, Polanco.
Yeah. You see how long he sticks with him. Maybe we could do that, but you just never know.
You never know if that's his call. Is Polanco
exactly
his call?
You just don't know whether somebody's say we need to keep playing him for this reason or whatever. But aside from a few minor moves like that,
yeah,
this guy's not going to be able to be judged, and it's good for him because I don't think he should be under any sort of criticism or fire. But it's going to be nice to get to a point where we could actually start properly evaluating a manager.
Would be nice.
But that's not going to be happening anytime soon.
No, not anytime soon at all here. Mic'd up, presented by Martin Lawn Services, the numbers behind Mike Fakovic, and I'm Mike Osta here. We're going to close up shop. Steelers, get him back in here with it being draft season, as we're only a few weeks away, and we're going to do a big draft show for you here on PSL. So subscribe. You get notifications and updates about that. And Alan Saunders and Dick Faribault giving you some draft talk as well right now every day for Pittsburgh Sports Live during this month. So enjoy it while you can as well. It's not a long-term thing. But Steelers first round running back position still very, very, very much in flux. Question marks abound. Again, we're not even going to get into Connor on this, but still question mark there. Is the running back position where they should go in the first round? They obviously need other positions to be fulfilled. We got Booger McFarland making random comments that don't make any sense. But what about running back first round? It's not a long-term 10-year max money position, but it is a need for this team.
I don't really understand it with some of the local guys in the media, how they're so set against running back. One guy in particular is a friend of mine, so I don't mind mentioning his name. Andrew Filipponi.
Yeah.
He is dead set against it. He think it would be a wasted pick for running, and I just don't understand that line of thinking. I'm not saying you go in and say we're going to pick a running back.
Yeah, no matter who it is, right?
But I wouldn't
cross
it off the board as he does immediately, saying I don't care who is there. You don't pick a running back in the first round. I don't get that. Why?
Is it because the shelf life's not more than 4 or 5 years, even for a Hall of Famer? Like even Hall of Famers don't give you elite level play more than 5 or 6 years because of the position. Is
Yeah,
that the issue?
but I don't know. I need to talk to Andrew. We need to get together for some
Okay.
beers. I need to hear what
Okay.
his thinking is here. But I don't. The Raiders are a better team, and their offense is better. The last couple of years, they drafted Josh Jacobs out of Alabama in the first round.
Right.
He solidified. They didn't have a running back. He
Right.
solidified their running back. He's making Derek Carr better. He makes their offense better.
You need a running game. Oh,
Nobody
sure.
you draft is gonna Nobody you're going to draft, aside from maybe a lineman, is somebody that's going to be there forever. I don't care if he's there forever. If this running back gives me 4, 5, 6 years of good production and makes this offense better overall, mission accomplished. I don't see. I'm a huge fan of Travis Etienne. I'm a huge fan of Najee Harris from Alabama. I'm not saying
Najee Harris mocked to the Steelers by a few. He is mocked.
But I'd consider him. I'll tell you that. I would no doubt consider him if somebody. Yeah. Let's say that the Steelers are very high on a left tackle. You know, maybe the guy from Texas.
That's the safe pick. Anyone who wants to go safe, it's offensive tackle usually.
Yeah, my point is, if they're going in saying, okay, we want these two guys, we're going to keep it. This is who we want, and those two guys get drafted. And a running back's there, well then I'd have no problem taking a running back. I'm just not into the camp of you never draft a running back into the first round. I just don't. I don't care what anyone tells me. I don't. Pete Prisco's big onto that. He's
right
from CBS. He's a big proponent of you can't take a running back. You could find a running back in the second, third, or fourth round. That's fine, but he's not going to be as good as the running back in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that if you, it's clearly a position of need. It's 100% if I had to rank positions they absolutely desperately need. Obviously, secondary is there. Obviously, offensive tackle is there. But certainly, running back is there. The running game was putrid last year. It can't be that bad again. They finally realized that you don't need an elite running back, but you need some freaking running game, and they didn't have it last year. However, the only way I could kind of agree with Andrew, and it's not to say I would write it off altogether, but because the shelf life's shorter, because I think their thinking is, I'll try to make sense of it. You don't want to pay money to a running back ever. So you're probably not ever going to have this guy go beyond his rookie contract unless he's a Hall of Famer, because you're not going to want to give tons of money to a running back because he's not going to play long. Even the greatest running back of all time is looking at 9 or 10 years. You're just not going to get him for too long of a period of time. So you don't want to throw cash. That's the issue with Le'Veon Bell years ago. That's the issue with backs now. And there have been recent champions, the Patriots, the Eagles, the Rams getting to a Super Bowl despite not winning. Even the Chiefs, really, the Buccaneers with a myriad of running backs that have been able to win a title or get to the Super Bowl without an elite running back and without first-round talent, at least off production. Some of them did draft running backs in the first round, but they weren't great on the field. You almost can get a committee of running backs as long as they can run together and be successful to do it. So a safer pick might be offensive tackle, even a safer pick in terms of immediate production that can go longer term for money to get your money's worth might be corner, might be secondary. Those athletes can last longer. That's the thinking, I think, is that you're getting probably realistically 3 years. You're not going to want to pay him big money, and teams have won without an elite running back. That's probably what they're arguing.
Well, I can see that, but I also counter that by saying 3 or 4 of those teams that you mentioned, they also have a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right.
And after this season, the Steelers aren't going to have.
Sure. And
Ben Roethlisberger his play isn't of Hall of Fame caliber right now. So he needs some pressure off him. He can't, and a running back would help with that.
It might be best for next year. I don't know if it's best long term.
Help him this year if he's able to play. You're not asking Ben to throw the ball. I just think a good running back makes your whole offense. If he's a really good running back, he makes your line look better.
Yeah.
Pressure off the. He takes pressure off the quarterback. If you're running the ball, it takes time off the clock, which means the defense is on the field for less time. I just think there's a lot of benefits with having a good, productive running game, and the Steelers haven't had that in a few years.
To say the least, that is very, very true. I guess the only risk is that's all true if it ends up working out. But if you swing and miss at a first-round running back, then you're kind of screwed, and probably more screwed than if you swing and miss at some of the other positions that are at least quicker. Every year there's a solid offensive tackle you could go next year. Running back, in terms of the elite guys, you get 2 or 3 a year. They usually go in the top 15. If they go in the first round, a lot of the time more recently, they are lingering into later rounds because people aren't loving the running back position anymore. Maybe you could get him to fall to you, but it's a risk. If you swing and miss, you kind of are screwed for a while. That'll be it for this morning's show. And Mike, I know you're excited. Everyone's excited. I hate to be sarcastic with us covering it so much, but it's home opener for the Pittsburgh Pirates today. Boy, are they getting in there with I wonder what the crowd will be, and we'll talk about it on tomorrow's show. I really wonder the crowd, because obviously they can't pack the house. They never would pack the house in this type of year, but they get to basically go 25% is pretty much full capacity probably for them based on this team. And we'll see if they even get that 9K, because that might not be a guarantee. So it's a good thing they don't have to be embarrassed with 2,000 people there in a 36,000
I think
seat
they're
park.
catching a break. I think they're catching a break with this only allowing 25% in. And I'm curious, Allen is under the belief that they're going to because there's a demand for people to get out of their house and to actually
for a while
do something, and they're sick of being cooped up, that there's going to be a demand for tickets. So I hope he's right. Not for nothing's sake, but
right. Maybe he'll be right for a while. I can't see him being right in August, but maybe he'll be right now. And I will say, maybe in a proper perspective, if these are really, really bad years, this year and last year, maybe this is the best time for the Pirates to have a pandemic, because maybe they wouldn't have to have that embarrassing number at the ballpark. But that'll be it for this one. A fun show, because we're able to be sarcastic. So I enjoy that here. Mic'd Up, presented by Martin Lawn Services, 412-849-5894. For Mike Vukovic, and I'm Mike Osti, for all of us at PSL, PSN, and throughout the network. Have a great day. Enjoy the home opener for the Pirates if you're going to be there. And hell, if you're going to be there, congratulations. Keep it up. And we almost want to talk to you. Tweet me. I'd love to hear why. That'll be it for this one, though.